It's 5 o'clock. The mayor asked that I conduct a meeting tonight. He is unable to be here. He, as many of you may know, he has had some knee surgery. He's recovering nicely and expects to be back here just soon, but unable to be here this evening. He does appreciate the many cards and prayers and thoughts that have come his way, and it seems to be having an effect. So that's good news. With that, then, let's begin with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's Monday, July 1st. The time is 5 p.m. and the meeting, Greensburg Board of Works, is called to order. This time, please silence electronic devices. Comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. The city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room near the door. Ashley, would you have roll call, please?
Carol Perkins. Here. Rick Enslower.
Here.
Lynn Seddy.
Here.
Daryl Fuller.
Here.
We have two sets of minutes, July the 3rd and also, or June the 3rd and June the 17th, a special Board of Works meeting. Are there corrections? Let's take them one at a time. Are there corrections or additions to the June 3rd meeting? Hearing none, is move for approval?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed. June 17th meeting, again, are there corrections or additions to be made? Hearing none, move for approval. Second.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. That's taken care of. Street closure for the Tree City Fall Festival, Mr. Carman.
This is a flyer to explain what we want to talk about this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Mark.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Carman, President of the Fall Festival. I come to you today to ask for street closures for the upcoming 40th anniversary of the Tree City Fall Festival. The dates of this will be September 20th and 21st. We have very big things planned for this anniversary weekend. We've got a large array of entertainment and vendors again this year, as well as our popular parade, car show, and new this year, partnering with the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. They'll be doing their luminary on Saturday evening on Franklin Street. Our staging company has asked us to close the corner of Broadway and Washington Street on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. so they can get in to set the stage. It would be tucked in like it has been the last 2 years, basically back in the crosswalk. The other three corners would remain open. We could leave that open on Thursday night, no issues there. Just allows them more room to get in there to do what they need to do in a timely manner. The staging company is going to be bringing us a stage that they have on site without having to go get a different one that requires that they drill holes into the asphalt. But these holes, once they take these stakes out, will be refilled with, and that's on the flyer there, it's called a Plug R product. It's a rubber product that completely seals the hole once it's removed, and it does not allow water to get in there to damage the road. Doesn't allow, cold won't do anything to it, heat won't do anything to it, and In fact, it's the same product that's used at St. Mary's when they set the tents for the festival there. They put those plugs into their parking lot, and their parking lot has no damage whatsoever. In closing, I just want to thank you guys for your consideration of allowing us to, let me back up. We would need street closure on Friday at 6 a.m. and to run that through Saturday night at 11:30 to allow us time to clean up. The festival will probably end at about 10. That just gives us time on Saturday night to clean up. So with that being said, we thank you for your consideration and our request and look forward to providing the Tree City Fall Festival to our citizens and our community.
Mark, just to clarify, you're talking about closing part of Broadway, all of Washington. What about Franklin and?
Franklin Street would be on Friday evening. The farmers market will be moved to Franklin Street on that evening, just for that 1 week only. It'll be on Franklin Street. And then on Saturday morning on Franklin, we will have the car show running down Franklin like we did last year.
So all of Franklin would be closed?
From Main Street to Washington Street.
Right, and then in front of in the south side of the courthouse, same thing, just the parking area?
Yep. And then Broadway would be closed from Main Street again to Broadway. That we would do that at 6 a.m. on Friday.
Okay, are there other questions?
Just my question to be the street commissioner, city engineer, any issues with the holes in the streets and how they're going to be repaired?
Just got this information on this product, and we've had a brief discussion. How deep a hole are they going to punch in the pavement section?
Mark, will you please come to the
okay.
mic, please?
In other words, this plug only fills about a 3-inch, is only about 3 inches in length. You're making the hole 2 foot?
I can't answer that question. I don't have that knowledge. That would be a Brian Messer question. I can't give you an honest answer on that. If they can't bring this particular stage, then with the new state laws, after the state fair collapse of the stage there would have to be so much weight, anchor weight, put on that stage that it would probably take 2 semi-loads to bring all the weight in that they would need.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions too. This isn't until September, so I don't know if there's an urgency here.
Right,
Glad we got
right,
time to investigate this a little bit. And I know that from appearance anyway, where they have the tents at St. Mary's, there's nothing there. I mean, appearance-wise, of course, it's not going to get the traffic that our streets get. So it's important. I mean, it's important that we provide stage and all that, but it's also important that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot long-term either. So,
And according to Mr. Messer, they use this product almost at every street fair that they put on, and they've never had an issue.
would it be possible for you to get that person to supply us with some other places where
Sure.
it has been
Sure.
put and utilized, and we can then make contact with their street and engineering for places that I guess we can maybe delay this until next month. I mean, we've got two months here before.
Okay.
I think just my concern is the fact that if I'm going to make a hole this deep,
Yeah.
and stick a plug in the top 3 inches,
Yeah.
I'd like the remaining 21 inches of hole with
Yeah.
something in it.
Yeah, same here.
Before you put the plug in.
Yeah, and maybe they do that. I don't, maybe they fill it with some kind of a ground or gravel or
From
something.
what I've looked at the website, they don't.
Okay.
But I think we would kind of like to require that.
Well, let's investigate it and find out if we can get us,
Yeah, you can bring us information back next month.
or even beforehand. I mean,
Right.
if we can get if Mark can give Mark contact information of the places this company's, and more than one, could be, a few if possible, then he could make inquiries see how it's done, what the effect has been, and how long they've done this.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that.
Could we go ahead and approve on the conditions that the city engineer and the street commissioner are in agreement to?
Good, but there's no hurry. I guess why wouldn't we want to get all the information first, and then if we have to make some adjustments, we can make some decisions about whatever adjustments might be necessary. Since we have time, if we didn't have time, I would think do a conditional one might make sense. Okay,
Be glad to take care of that for you.
thank you very
Thank you.
much.
A motion then to take the decisions next month.
Second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
ARA, Tara, Main Street Project, pay application number 3.
Yes, that's correct. So you have pay application 3 that's signed by Keith Sattler for $52,965.77. And on the second page of that, it's actually the schedule of payments. And you can see where they're percentage complete. And then the money that we'll be requesting from the state will actually all be paid out of the grant for this amount.
Are there any questions from board members? Project seems to be going pretty well. Mr. Engineer, from your perspective too?
Yes, there's, I think, typical kinds of issues that come up with any project, but nothing that can't be overcome, so.
Is it on schedule yet?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Very good. So other questions or concerns? I would entertain a motion to approve pay application number 3.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Let me write this says.
We have an engagement letter with regard to financial deposits and business terms from Baker Tilly, I'm sorry. Is there someone to represent them? Good evening.
Hi, I'm Jeff Messer with Baker Tilly.
Welcome, Mr. Messer.
Thank you.
And we just got this this evening, so can you give us a little bit of a background on what your company does, why Ashley has asked you to bring your information to us?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, I work with Andre, if you guys know Andre, at what we used to be Umball and are now Baker Tilly.
Oh,
The group I work in is started doing this about 13 years ago with the idea of helping cities, towns, schools, and counties invest a portion of their dollars in a little more structured way to earn additional interest for your budget. And that's the basic concept of what we do. Our group is a registered investment advisor. We're registered with the SEC, so we have to follow pretty strict guidelines in terms of how we invest those dollars. We also have to follow the Indiana Public Funds Code with respect to what you can invest in, which those are very conservative investments anyway. Currently, we manage right about $1.5 billion of public funds, Indiana public funds. It's mostly Indiana. We've got a few Michigan accounts. And it's a combination of cities and towns and schools and counties. Basically, the idea is we sit down with Ashley and her group and kind of identify what we call a core investable balance. So the easiest way to determine that is if you were to look back on the city balances over the last 24 months and look at the month-by-month balance, the total balance, all in, every dollar that you have, and run those numbers month by month, what is your low point along that 24-month cycle? That's kind of the starting point for determining how much we might be able to invest. And that'd be one of the first things we sit down with Ashley and do, is to try to determine that number. The idea is to, once we have that, is to then, we have portfolio managers that essentially go out and do competitive bidding of your investments with local banks and several brokers that we have relationships with the idea of getting the highest interest rate that we possibly can for each individual investment. It's going to be certificates of deposit, U.S. Treasury securities, agency securities like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, or Indiana municipal securities. Those are basically those are the only investments that we can look at when we're doing the structure. And like I said, we've been doing this for 13 years. The whole idea is to earn additional interest over and above what you could possibly earn by just leaving it in your overnight sweep account. Ordinarily, the yield curve, the further out you invest, generally, the higher the interest rates. It happens not to be the case right in this very minute. We're in a downward kind of a inverted yield curve, but ordinarily, further out you invest, the higher the interest rate, which is why you can capture that additional interest. We ran a few numbers and just did kind of a what if, and this was a couple weeks ago. If we structured a $7.5 million portfolio and laddered securities from 3 months out to like 21 months, having some investment coming due every 3 months, the additional interest on that versus just leaving it in your savings or checking account was for the year about an additional $107,000 back into the city's budget by doing so. And we would work with Ashley to make sure that if you had capital needs, that we were considering that in those investments, though we don't have to sell an investment early in order to get you guys money. That's the basic.
Okay. Thank you. That Baker Tilly was a very new name to me. Umball is not. So when did this all take place? Is curious.
March 1st is when it became effective, but we all found out about it January 1st.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Ashley, so our responsibility, I mean, obviously this is something that the council is going to have to determine in terms of whether we go this way and how we go about it. Our role is to give a recommendation or to approve our relationship with this company.
Yes, to basically approve their agreement to come in and start the process. And it was a little bit backwards because I think some communities have 2 Board of Works meetings a month, as we just have 1. So it's a little bit backwards, but if you're ready to approve it, I would maybe suggest approving it under the pretenses that it's void if council for some reason does not move forward with the ordinances and resolutions.
Board members who have questions or comments? Professor's here ready to answer.
Then your fee is a percent of the profits or a percent of our investment?
It's a percent of the assets under management. It's our fee is 10 basis points. The easiest way to describe that is it's an annual fee. For every $1 million that we help you invest, the fee is $1,000 a year. So if we help you invest $7.5 million, our fee would be $7,500. And that additional $101,000 or $107,000 that I mentioned, that is net of our fee. I might add, and sorry, that they're in front of the council tonight. Hopefully there will be two resolutions, right?
Two resolutions and a
That are going to help us it's kind of an additional arrow in our quiver, if you will. One allows us to bid certificates of deposit not only to local financial institutions, which we always do every time. They always get a chance to bid and win. But we also, since we're in the market and we work with so many people out there, we kind of can see which banks are being aggressive, kind of have a program where they're upping their interest rates. So we make sure we add them to the list as well, add 3 or 4 other banks to, kind of generate interest and additional interest that way. Then the second one is a maturity ordinance that allows you to invest greater than 2 years maturity and not more than 5. And while we're not suggesting, hey, let's invest all our money 5 years, there are times when we think maybe interest rates might be going down, and maybe we want to try to lock in a little bit. So maybe we go 26 months or 28 months on an investment. We couldn't do that unless we pass that resolution. And in conjunction with the resolution, there is a written investment policy that the state required, which also is hopefully being considered this evening as well. So that all kind of goes together.
Any questions? Yeah, council will make the final approval. So, I guess the motion would be we agree to enter into the agreement with Baker Tilly for investment advice and support on the condition that the council approves said resolutions and ordinances authorizing how the investment would go.
I'll second that motion.
I don't know, as a chair, I don't know that I should make the motion.
Or you can attach my name to what he said.
And then I'll second Darrell.
Well, with that clarity,
There's more than one way to skin it.
so there's, the motion's been moved and seconded to approve entering into an agreement with Baker Tilly for investment services. That may be more clear and less wordy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chief, Brendan Bridges.
Good evening. On the first item on the agenda, the IT engineer, we're going to go ahead and table that until next month. We did have a couple meetings and I think we did get a lot of stuff ironed out, but with the mayor not being here tonight, we figured it might be best just to hold off.
Good idea.
Get you guys the paperwork, and that I know that most of that paperwork is now available, so give everybody a good month to look over it.
Thank you.
So that will be tabled in that. The only other thing I have is I'm asking for Austin Gross and Derke Fasnacht to be promoted to first class patrolman. Both of them came to us in January of this year. Both are lateral transfers, so they are only required to have the 6-month probation status, and both of those officers have excelled past our expectations, so I'm asking for the board's approval to have them promoted to patrolman first class.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve both Austin Gross and Derke Fasnacht
Fasnacht.
to first class.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, and just for, make sure that we've got consensus that we have moved the IT engineer to table for the next one. Make a note of it. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Klosterkemper. Before he begins, did everybody get a copy of this in their packet? Because I had 2 copies in mine, if I maybe somebody might have missed. All right, very good. Yes, sir.
I bring you the second supplemental number 2 for our contract with NDOT for the Veterans Way Phase 2 project. This project, if you'll notice, the big thing they're talking about is the section Y is the term and schedule. Because of the ongoing right-of-way acquisition process, we need to extend this contract out so that the funding will remain in place for fiscal year 20. So that's what this is in regards to.
Pretty standard, it's clear.
Typical boilerplate in the
Yeah,
contract.
and it's pretty clear what it does in terms of extending the contract. Further questions, comments? Is there movement for approval?
Make a motion to approve contract number 2, Veterans Way, project phase 2.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Good. Okay.
Mark, blue ink,
What?
blue ink.
Yeah, I know, I didn't bring it in.
I had
It'll be on- Has to be blue.
I got black. She has blue over here, or Ashley has.
There's only 3 signatory lines. Color coverage.
That's the pen.
Just 2 copies here, right?
Yes.
While they're doing that, I think we can move along. Mr. Smith, Jeff.
I brought some items before you last month, we discussed prices and things. Now I'm bringing the engineering contracts, I guess you call them. First one is to amend my NPDES permit assistance from 7,000 to 12,000. I'll give a few more things in that permit. Discussing with item 40 and things like the administration.
It's going to take more time.
Takes more time for the engineers. Yes. And that would be going from 7 to 12, so it increases my fund by about 5,000. And they may not use all the 12, but they might have to cover it.
It should cover it. And this is out of our budgeted.
Yes, this is out of my normal budget.
Right. Other questions? You go ahead and sign it, Director. Other questions, members? Straightforward, critical that we get this permit
Yeah,
done,
like
so.
our permit will be coming into effect October 1st.
So let's, need approval of the change in the item report
Permit assistance.
permits, yeah, permit
Amendment
assistance.
number 1.
Is there a motion to
So
approve?
move. Task amendment number 1 and task order number 1901.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize the additional funding for the IDEM permit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. So moved and passed.
Can we just hang on to all these? and sign
Yes,
all at once?
yes,
Okay.
please.
The second item is our technical evaluation of a pretreatment program. Our new permit will require us to reevaluate our pretreatment limits for all industries. It takes quite a while to get that done, so I'd like to go ahead and get started on that, because we have to have it done about within 6 months normally of when the permit comes effective. So it'll be March of next year, which doesn't sound that long. The last one I did, I submitted to EPA, it was lost in region 5 or 6 months. Yeah. It gets up there and it kind of just goes away sometimes. And this has to be approved by region 5. I did that. They monitor the program, but they don't have jurisdiction over the program. So any limits, we end up saying the one said has to go to region 5. And that would cost $35,000. And that's just that one.
And the third one?
Third one is miscellaneous wastewater treatment improvements. This will be coming out of my SRF loan that we had. We had about $640,000 left. Had several different items we wanted to look at. And probably how we'll do this when we do the bidding on this. Each one will be bid basically separate. It'll all be one big bid, but if we don't want this item.
3 parts, or many parts each way.
Yeah, we can take this off because we don't want to run over that $640,000. And it will be $58,000 for design and then $10,000 for bid services. So it'll be $68,000. And that $68,000 will also come out at SRF loan. We won't take that out of ours.
Okay, let's take them one at a time. Number 2 first. Questions or concerns about what Jeff's asking for there? Okay, well, again, this is a wastewater, pretty important. So for number 2, task order number 2, for approval of $35,000, up to $35,000 for the services, for engineering services. So a motion to approve.
So moved.
And is there a second? Been moved and seconded, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that has to be signed now too tonight, right?
Yes, I got about 40 other things on this.
Okay, and before we begin that signature process, which we'll do here in a minute, let's do number 3, task order number 3. This is, if you recall, we had approved different improvements that had extra money for, or additional resources left for a loan that we could use for these purposes, and this provides for the design and the bidding process. Are there any questions? So, you ready to say yes or no? So is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. So, Jeff, if you will.
No, I got one more.
Oh, yeah, I see it here.
Penny Apple Gas Creek for $58.
Jeff on a roll again.
My goodness.
$5,833. We've done some surveys and stuff and set up. Total start, it's just really wet down that long, so. Once you drive that with 50, then line around, we'll get started.
All right. This is the application for the sanitary sewer replacement, $5,833.
Dave Holman.
Any questions or clarification needed? Aware of that, right? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor for the application, $1,532? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion's carried. Okay, so now, Jeff, what do we have to do? We need blue ink too, or
No,
no?
I don't care.
Thank goodness. Use your own pen.
Well, there's only one for one signature on the Hagan. So you want to sign it?
I didn't want his consent.
So you want me to be on the hook, huh? Yeah, that's where you want me to sign. Well, that completes our posted agenda. Do board members have on their mind that we need to bring forward? Well then, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
Amen to that.